Well, nitrous oxide, also known as laughing gas or whp-its, is surging in popularity among teenagers and young adults. It's an inhalant that can be used recreationally to produce a short-lived high. And while it's legal to sell to adults, some smoke shops have been selling it to minors without age verification. Supervisors in San Mateo County recently banned the sale and redistribution of it, except in legitimate uses such as medical, food, or automotive purposes. And while the gas can be beneficial when used correctly, if misused, it can lead to organ damage, nerve damage, or even death. For more insight is Dr. Anna Lembke, an addiction medicine specialist at Stanford Medicine. Doctor, thank you for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome.
So, Doctor, how widespread is this becoming with adults? I feel like a few years ago, there was an upswing as well with teenagers getting their hands on this, and it sounds like it's happening again.
Yes, first of all, thank you for highlighting this problem. It's so important and really not well understood. So I really appreciate that you're giving it time. This is a growing problem among all ages, but especially teenagers and young adults. And part of the acceleration of the problem is the sheer availability now of nitrous oxide, not just in little whippet-sized canisters, but in these huge scuba dive-sized tanks.
Wow.
And that is really the crucial difference here, that there's just so much less friction involved in getting huge amounts that then the individual who's prone to addiction takes home, uses in isolation continuously, which not only accelerates the problem of addiction, but also contributes to brain damage, to lung damage, to severe anemia, to hypoxia. And some of these problems are irreversible.
So what is this normally used for, outside of issues, of being used to get high?
So it definitely has legitimate medical uses. It's used as an anesthetic or a pain reliever. It is a colorless gas, which when inhaled leads to anesthesia or pain relief and also dissociation. So it has legitimate medical indications. The problem is that it's now sold in many places recreationally, including to minors, and is used recreationally for a very rapid high. It has about a 30-second onset. It lasts maybe 5 minutes, and then, the individual comes down again. And that fast onset and fast offset is part of its appeal, because people who use it to get high feel like I can control this and I can also come down from it, so I'm okay afterwards. But that's really an illusion, because repeated use over long periods of time can lead to serious damage.
Is it very addictive, like, other, illicit drugs are?
It is extremely addictive. Now, there is this concept of drug of choice. So what's reinforcing for one person is not so reinforcing for another. But nitrous oxide, I believe, is exceptionally addictive, again, because of this very fast onset of action. It takes 30 seconds or so to get the euphoric effect. And then it lasts this very short amount of time. People come down and they feel like, oh yeah, I can get high in between classes and then I'll be fine.
What is it doing to the body? Is it doing damage? And what kind of damage is it doing?
Lots of different types of damage. First of all, it can cause suffocation or hypoxia, where we're not getting enough oxygen, because it's essentially displacing the oxygen on our blood cells. If our brains don't get enough oxygen for a long enough period of time, that can cause permanent and irreversible brain damage. It can cause severe anemia by altering B12 function. So B12 is a vitamin. We need that vitamin for many different functions. Nitrous oxide inactivates B12 and can lead to a life-threatening anemia, where now we have these megaloblastic or large red blood cells that are not able to carry oxygen. It can cause psychiatric problems, including psychosis, mood disorders. It can cause long-term neuropathies and gait disturbance, where people have like numbness and tingling irreversibly, where they have problems walking irreversibly. So there are really serious effects.
What do you want parents to know, and what do you want to see happen as someone that studies this type of thing?
Thank you for that. What I would really love to see happen is widespread legislation that doesn't allow for these giant canisters to be sold recreationally to anyone, and to have legislation so that minors cannot purchase nitrous oxide in any form for recreational use. And then there needs to be much more widespread education for parents, for educators of all ilk, for legislators about the truly addictive nature of this gas. I also want to say that there are a lot of aesthetic spas out there that are now offering this as a pain reliever while people get dermatologic and other beauty treatments. And I think we need a crackdown on this, because these spas have sort of normalized the use during various procedures without consideration for the addictive potential.
Wow, yeah, that is interesting. I had not heard of that particular angle of it. So, is there any legislation that you know of? Because you can find this. I've walked into stores and seen this offered everywhere in all kinds of colors. We showed it in the video, and flavors, I guess. Is there any legislation that you know of to address this issue?
Yeah, so there is legislation at the state and federal level and county level. As you mentioned in your opening, Santa Clara is now looking to ban the sale of recreational nitrous oxide for minors. So that's super good, but we need to enforce it. And I actually think this should be a nationwide ban. A lot of other states have banned it statewide, but there's got to be enforcement there, right? We've got to be going into these various head shops and making sure that they're not, selling nitrous oxide for recreational use. Also, importantly, they will often have on the label, not for recreational use, only to be used for cooking, but everybody knows that it's for recreational use.
Gotcha. All right, Dr. and Lembke, an addiction specialist from Stanford Medicine. Thank you for joining us this morning and providing your insight into this. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.